America's favorite Democrat right now for all the wrong reasons. Ilhan Omar just suffered a major blow when she made a complete and utter fool of herself on a national television. I thought things were going to get worse. I really did until I saw this interview. We also have some breaking news. Look at this. It's come out that Minnesota taxpayers may have been funding a terror group from the millions of dollars that have been stolen from Minnesota. This story is massive and people need to pay attention to this. So welcome back to the Moreno Show. Please like and subscribe if you like conversations like this, and let's dive right in. Starting with Minnesota Representative Ilhan Omar, who was just on Face the Nation and what was supposed to be an incredible interview that was important for her and her community. She was supposed to show up and give answers, but instead she face planted in front of the entire world. Take a look.
Of the 87 people charged, all but 8 are of Somali descent. And that has added to the spotlight being put specifically on your community. Why do you think this fraud was allowed to get so widespread?
Well, I want to say, this also has an impact on Somalis because we are also taxpayers in Minnesota. We also could have benefited from the program and the money that was stolen. And so it's been really frustrating for people to not acknowledge the fact that we're also, as Minnesotans, as taxpayers, really upset and angry about the fraud that has occurred.
Yeah, no one's saying that you guys weren't impacted by this at all. I think people are just making the connection. And so when you have the audacity to say that Somalis are the victims when 91% of the fraudsters are of Somali descent, it does come off a bit out of touch of reality and removes focus from the fact that millions have been stolen from taxpayers that have been deceived. Your state, your residents have been deceived. But you see, this is the exact response you get when you're more concerned about image and vibes more than you're concerned about confronting the fraud. In this next clip, we see Minnesota Representative dodge the next question by laughing. And this is really important because she is laughing at the reporting that suggests that Minnesota taxpayers funded terror groups in Somalia. Look at this.
House Republicans and the Treasury Secretary just now talked about a link to terrorism, a possible link. He said they're just now beginning to look into it. How confident are you that that's a false claim?
I'm pretty confident at the moment because there are people who have been prosecuted and who have been sentenced. If there was a linkage in that the money that they had stolen going to terrorism, then that is a failure of the FBI and our court system in not figuring that out and basically charging them with these charges.
Yeah, I can't believe I have to say this, but this is not a moment for laughter. Millions were stolen from hardworking citizens in your state, and you think that's funny. Got it. We'll also talk more on this later because this just continues to get worse, way worse. But the narcissism also gets really intense because she thinks that President Trump cares about her more than the fraud. So she just cannot help but make everything about herself. Look at this.
We feel like there is an unhealthy obsession that he has on the Somali community and an unhealthy and creepy obsession that he has with me.
Who's going to tell her that President Trump is not obsessed with her? He doesn't care about her. He cares about the fraud. He is obsessed about the fraud. He's not obsessed with you. He's obsessed about the future. He's obsessed about the security. He's obsessed about the prosperity of this country. And you're here on Face the Nation trying to combat the claims that the leadership of Minnesota has single-handedly orchestrated the single greatest scam in the history of this country. But no. You're sitting here in front of the entire world saying that President Trump is out to get you because he's obsessed with you. You are all that he thinks about. Give me a break. Get a grip. What is this? And the next clip is almost really unwatchable. Here we see Ilhan Omar explains why Somalis don't assimilate to American society, or at least she tries to.
I want to ask you about something else that the architect of the president's immigration policy, Stephen Miller, said. On Thanksgiving Day, he posted, "No magic transformation occurs when failed states cross borders. At scale, migrants and their descendants recreate the conditions and terrors of their broken homelands." What do you make of this argument of failure to assimilate and sort of ruining America? How do you understand this?
I mean, when I think about Stephen Miller and his white supremacist rhetoric, it reminds me, yes, it reminds me of the way the Nazis described Jewish people in Germany. And, you know, as we know, there have been many immigrants who have tried to come to the United States.
Are you kidding me? Yeah, I think you heard that right. She is really making that comparison when we're talking about assimilation. Who is going to tell their congresswoman that assimilation is not fascism? It's the foundation of a functioning multi-ethnic society. This nation became the melting pot of the entire world, not because people erased who they were, but because they carried the best of who they were. They carried the best of their story into this new one, and that became this country. But she doesn't understand that. She thinks that it is judgmental or anything else. It is just really weird. But now we need to talk about something really, really important that changes everything. A massive investigative report just dropped, and it alleges something genuinely terrifying. Millions in stolen taxpayer money may have been funneled into the hands of Al-Qaeda aligned terror groups in Somalia. So it's bad enough that feeding our future didn't end up actually feeding the children and our future, but now this. One investigator traced $20 million in 1 year through Hawala networks tied to Somalia communities, and they say that Al-Shabaab was taking a cut. So this is why this giggling and laughing and smiley clip was just so terrible, because when the interviewer asked Omar if the fraud money could have gone to terror groups, she just completely dismissed it. She's like, no, totally impossible. No, my people, absolutely not. And it's like, turns out federal investigators believe it already did. Even a Treasury Secretary weighed in on this Somali fraud and explained that this investigation is continuing. Check this out.
A lot of money has been transferred from the individuals who committed this fraud, including those who donated to the governor, donated to Representative Omar, and donated to A.G. Ellison. But they've been transferred to something called MBSs. And those are
mortgage-backed security. What do you mean?
Sorry?
Transferred to what?
These are money the Bureau services, and they are wire transfer organizations that are outside the regulated banking system. And that money has gone overseas. And we are tracking that both to the Middle East and to Somalia to see what the uses of that have been.
Okay, but you have no evidence of that money being used to fuel terrorism at this point, which is what some conservative writers are alleging.
That's why it's an investigation. We started it last week. We'll see where it goes. But I can tell you that, it's terrible. Representative Omar tried to downplay it, said, oh, it was very, it was very tough to know how this money should be used. Yeah. She was gaslighting the American people.
Well, we'll talk to her.
Yeah, but when you come to this country, you got to learn which side of the road to drive on. You got to learn to stop at stop signs, and you got to learn not to defraud the American people.
He is exactly right. When you come to this country, you have to learn not to defraud the American people. It is simple. It is direct, possibly uncomfortable for some, but this is undeniably important. People shouldn't have to question if their hard-earned money is funding a literal terror group. Like sit with me on this for a second. The fact that Representative Omar had to sit and she's like, well, they proved this, right? It's like there's an investigation that's going on. Like, yeah, there shouldn't have to be an investigation. people shouldn't have to question this. People should be able to go to sleep at night knowing that their elected officials are working for them, not against them. But you see, when you refuse to admit that something's been broken, when you refuse to admit that something is broken, nothing gets fixed. And when you pretend that everything is okay, more damage gets done in the dark. Water continues to leak in. Things start to sink. And that's what we're talking about today. This is a conversation about integrity. This is a conversation about fraud. And those are my thoughts right now. I'd love to know what you think about all this, from this massive fraud investigation to this new link that many reports are discussing now. And tell me what you think about Representative Ilhan Omar as all this continues to spike and unfold. And if you made it this far, please subscribe, turn on bell. It really does mean the world. And if you want to support the show, please go to adamsmoreno.com. It really makes a huge impact on the future that we work to create here. All right. Thank you so much for watching. Merry Christmas. Love you guys. And I will see you all next time. Episode's over already? Jeez, that was fast. Well, they say beautiful things do not last forever, but feel free to watch and listen to another one of these episodes if you're interested in those conversations as well. Also, this next part is huge. Make sure to obliterate that like and subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never skip a beat. I also have a newsletter where we dive into the news, politics, and ideas that shape our future. If you're interested in signing up, I'd really appreciate that. Anyways, that's the end of this episode. Thank you so much for watching and listening, and I'll see you next time.